want to welcome the Taoiseach here today and to say that in respect of what he has said, not one word could I disagree with, and I endorse everything he has said 100%. What has been said by other speakers is equally true. Hamas is an extremist Islamist terrorist organisation. It is not the Palestinian people. It is dedicated to the destruction of Israel. It is dedicated to the reversal of the 1948 expulsions of Arabs and the reintegration of a single Palestinian land. It is backed by Iran in all of this. And what was done the other day was done with calculation. They knew full well when they murdered all of those innocent people at the music festival and in the kibbutzim. They knew full well what the reaction would be. They lit a fuse, determined to bring about a massive confrontation between the Israeli government on the one hand and themselves on the other. And they knew that it would be played out in the streets and in the lands of the Gaza Strip. All of that was deliberate. None of us should, for 1 minute, think that this was understandable or this was an expression of a deep-seated frustration, or that this was part of a sense of disappointment that the political process was not proceeding as Hamas wants. Hamas does not want a two-state solution. Hamas has never wanted a two-state solution. Hamas has never accepted that Israel can exist as a state. So let's get that firmly on the record. Nobody in Ireland should ally with or sympathise with Hamas in any shape or form. That's the first point. The second point is this, that since this situation has been brought about by Hamas deliberately, they know what the Israeli government under Benjamin Netanyahu, whose government has had the cheek to label members of this House who voted for the Settlement Goods Bill as anti-Semitic. They know what his reaction is likely to be, and what his overreaction is likely to be unless it is tempered by the international community. And I want to just ask this House to contemplate what a land incursion into Gaza and the Gaza Strip can amount to. Where will it start? Where will it go? Will it just be the northern part, north of the Wadi, or will the Hamas people move south with the rest of the population as the Israeli tanks and planes and soldiers move in on the northern part of Gaza? What is the aim of it? Destruction of the Hamas infrastructure. I mean, are we talking about blowing up the little shops, workshops where rockets are made? Is that the aim of this? Is it to hunt down the people in Hamas themselves, to arrest them, possibly to execute them, to eliminate them, or to bring them back to Israel and try them? What is the purpose of that part of the invasion? And when things move south, and when the northern part of the Gaza Strip, including Gaza City, is a smouldering ruin, will that be the end of it? And it was interesting to see President Biden warning Israel to learn from the lessons that America didn't learn in sufficient time arising out of 9/11. You can make war on terror as a rhetoric, but you can't, in fact, on the ground. And Afghanistan, Yemen, all of these places prove that the rhetoric of saying we are making war on terror simply doesn't work. So that if the aim of Israel is to eliminate Hamas, and it's a justifiable aim if it can be done, because if Hamas has done this once, why should Israel let them ever attempt it again? Why should they ever take that risk? Why should a sovereign state ever expose its own citizens to ferocity of that kind? If the aim of the Israeli government is the elimination of Hamas, I ask them to consider, without occupation of all of the Gaza Strip, without searching through every concentration of population for the people who are Hamas, for the people who organise Hamas, and sorting them out, without sorting out the men and the women on one side, to use an old trope, and the men and put the men on another side, and then set about trying to ascertain in any pocket of captured civilians who is and who is not their enemy, who are or who are not the terrorists. Unless some process like that took place right across the Gaza Strip, the idea that you can eliminate a terrorist cell which is driven by such hatred is not going to work. And Gaza will be reduced to nothing in the process. And it wasn't I who said, it was an Israeli government official who said that at the end of this process, he envisaged that Gaza, the Gaza Strip, would be a tent city. And then the next point I make is this. It cannot be the case that you can cut off water, electricity, food from a population of 2.2 million. And we hear that a handful of trucks, 20 trucks, is it, or 16 or 18 trucks, are to be allowed in per day by the Egyptian government. What possible effect can that have? What can you do for 2.2 million people with a handful of trucks of that kind? And then the other thing is that it's been said, but none of this must make its way to Hamas. How will you stop water being given to a Hamas official and ensure that it only goes to a Palestinian child whose parents have nothing to do with Hamas? How can that be done? So realism and rhetoric must meet now. And the simple fact is that a massive destructive campaign against the Gaza Strip and destruction of the apartment blocks and a wiping out of infrastructure and a huge imposed famine on a group of people will not have any long-term effect at all. On the contrary, it will have exactly the opposite effect of what is proposed. Now, to be positive for a second, Ireland supports the two-state solution. And that's a position that we've held consistently. We also support the right of Israel to exist as an independent sovereign state within the borders that existed in 1967. We've never deviated from those positions. There is one problem that we have to put our hands on our heart and say, did we do the right thing? And that was in relation to the creeping annexation of the West Bank, which is acquiescence in the right wing of Israeli politics, abusing international law to advance their particular agenda. And I say that Ireland has failed to constantly beat the drum, if I might use that term in the phrase of diplomacy, against the settlements. And I finish on this. I see the Taoiseach shaking his head. I remember in this House, when this House passed the settlements bill, when this House passed that settlement goods bill, we were foot-tripped in the Dáil, and we were foot-tripped here, and we were told that it was against European law. That was untrue then, and it was shameful that it was attempted. Thank you.
Thank you.